a lot of pressure. So you think that this is an opportunity now for the Israeli Defense Forces to kind of take over?
Well, like I said, I don't think there's any way to turn back the clock now with the prophecies. The stage has been set for quite some time. But at this point, I think that we're going to find the fulfillment of Psalm 83, probably Isaiah 17, the destruction of Damascus, maybe Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 34 through 39, where we see a disaster in the west coast side of Iran, another prophecy involving Iran versus Ezekiel 38. So I do see these things all coming into play. The push of the Biden administration is just putting lipstick on the same political pig. In other words, Clinton tried to do it in Camp David in 2000. That failed miserably when Ehud Barak was the prime minister and Yasser Arafat was in charge of the Palestinian Authority. George Bush followed those same failed presidential footsteps, 2006, 2007 time frame. John Kerry, as the Secretary of State in 2013, 2014, tried the same thing with the Obama administration. This is nothing new. In order for Saudi Arabia to normalize relationships, they're going to ask for a two-state solution. That's the big carrot. They want Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords and normalize relationships with Israel. But they're going to force the Arab Peace Initiative of 2002, which they put forward, Saudi Arabia, which has some real no-goes for Israel. And it includes a new problem, too. The new problem, and I'll explain the other prerequisites of the Arab Peace Initiative, is that they want a lot of the settlements in the West Bank to be abandoned, which of course was the problem. That's what the problem with the Gaza in 2005 was. They abandoned the Gaza, and now look what they had to do to survive. They went through the massacre. Now they're fighting inside the Gaza to try to, have security in the nation. But it also calls for an East Jerusalem to be the capital of the Palestinian state, right of return of the Palestinians back into all of Israel proper, not just the West Bank. And also for Israel to concede the land that they acquired in the Six-Day War of 1967. So in other words, give us land and we'll give you peace, as if Saudi Arabia is going to be able to control and normalize. And the carrot on this is that Saudi Arabia says, well, the Arab states will start to normalize relationships with Israel and be at peace with them. But there's no way that Saudi Arabia is going to be able to contain and control the vast majority of Muslims that absolutely hate Israel.
Absolutely.
There's no way that's going to happen.
Okay, Bill, we'll pick up there in just a second. Let me say, if you're watching right now and you're not a subscriber to endtimes.com, I want you to become a subscriber. And right now we have a 7-day free trial that you can sign up for endtimes.com. Try us out for 7 days. You can see the full Tipping Point show that you're watching today without ads. Also on Thursday, we have Mark Hitchcock, who's one of the greatest end times experts in the world today. He has a podcast here on endtimes.com every Thursday. Brian Schrager from Israel every Tuesday. I give a prophecy perspective every Monday. We answer questions every Friday. And I have a devotional that comes out every Sunday. We have all kinds of things that come out all week long to keep you encouraged, to keep you blessed and educated on what's happening in the world today, especially related to the end times. So go to endtimes.com right now, sign up for a free trial for 7 days. And after the 7 days, if you want to stay with us, it's $7 a month. It's the best $7 I believe that you could ever spend to keep yourself encouraged in the severe times that we're living in times when Bible prophecy is coming true right before our eyes. $7 a month, but you have a 7-day free trial right now at endtimes.com. Let's go back to Bill. And Hamas is extremely popular among all Palestinians, not just in Gaza. And the Palestinians want Hamas to rule them rather than the Palestinian Authority. Can you imagine a worse nightmare for Israel than to have a state recognized alongside of them, which now puts Hamas in East Jerusalem, in the West Bank, and in Gaza? So it's just a nightmare. Well, let's go to Zechariah 12, Bill. And so you have I so much appreciate your perspective on all end time prophecy. But Zechariah 12 through 14 is a very, very important end time prophecy. Give us what you're looking at related to the fulfillment of that.
I will. And I want to caveat that what I'm about to say as I go through these first 6 verses of Zechariah 12, that most scholars for the ages and even today believe that what I'm about to say is related to Armageddon, or I believe it's not. I believe it's a separate and entirely different siege that takes place inside of Judah and Jerusalem versus the one that happens in Zechariah chapter 14, verses 1 through 3, which is dealing with all the nations that captured Jerusalem in those passages. And time permitting, we can compare that. So what I'm about to do is lay out the first 6 verses as I interpret them. I ask your viewers not to take my word for it, but at the same token, I do think this could be actually what we should be watching for. I think it will lead to the final solution of the conflict of the Arab-Israeli age-old conflict. And I think that we're heading toward that in the very near future. So what it says in Zechariah 12, verses 2 and 3, verses 2 says, "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling," or in some translations, intoxication, unto all the peoples round about the surrounding nations, when they lay siege, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. So we have a siege that's forthcoming, and it's not involving all the nations of the world. It's involving the surrounding nations. Every translation that you look at will tell you it's involving the surrounding nations. And the Hebrew word is sabiev. And it clearly talks about the neighborhood, the neighbors around Israel. The surrounding nations at some point are going to lay a final siege against Judah and Jerusalem. Now, it's going to be an unsuccessful siege, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But that is what they're going to do. Remember, Jerusalem is the third holiest city in Islam. Of course, it's where the Temple Mount is, and the Dome of the Rock, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And even though it's not mentioned at one time in the Quran, they still hold fast to the fact that that's their third holiest city. Now, when this siege takes place, the international community is going to go in an uproar and meddle. And it says in the next verse, "And in that day I shall make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people, all that burden themselves with it," all those that meddle, the United Nations, the international community, etc., that meddle with it, "shall be cut into pieces, though all peoples of the earth will be gathered," or in some translations, assembled against it. So what I see happening there is that the Arab states, the surrounding peoples, are going to make a final ditch effort to take over Israel, namely Judah and Jerusalem, the capital. And they're going to try to lay siege, and they're going to have support, the full support of the international community. To do that, the international community is going to meddle. God saying, "Don't do that. I'm making Jerusalem a cup of trembling. I'm making it a cup of trembling. Don't get involved. It's going to be a burdensome stone. If you attempt to, it will sorely wound you or cut you into pieces," in some translations. So that's what the stage is being set for. Now we currently see, I'm going to give you an example. This is where most people would say, well, it says all nations, Bill, in verse 3. Why can't they be all the nations in Zechariah chapter 14 or Joel 3 or Armageddon in Revelation 19 or Revelation 16? And I'll give you some quotes in a moment. But I think what we need to understand here is in modernity, there's precedence for the international community meddling with Judah and Jerusalem, especially Jerusalem. I'll talk a little bit about the history if I can, Jimmy, and then we'll see how it's more than intensified now than ever, like you mentioned with the Biden administration and the whole world clamoring for a two-state solution. But we start back in 1947 with UN Resolution 181, which was the partition plan, which called for Israel to become a nation. The United Nations approved that. 1948, of course, the Arabs didn't vote for the Israel to become a nation. They voted against it. And they went to war against Israel in 1948. But in the UN Resolution 181, it called for Israel to be restored as a nation, but Jerusalem was to be an international zone. They were already meddling even back when Israel became a nation. Of course, in 1967, the Six-Day War, Israel won that war. Egypt, Jordan, and Syria had joined from the Psalm 83 countries, and Israel won that war in 6 days. And they took over all of Jerusalem. Well, excuse me, let me backtrack. After the war in 1948, I got ahead of myself. There was the Armistice Agreement where they actually divided Jerusalem in half. Israel won the war in 1948. Jerusalem got divided in half, the first time ever, and that's not biblically endorsed. Jerusalem is never to be a divided city. And it didn't last more than 20 years because in 1967, going back to what I was saying, in the Six-Day War, Israel won and took over all of Jerusalem, and no longer was it a divided city. However, Israel made the colossal mistake of giving control of the Temple Mount to Jordan, the Waqf, W-A-Q-F, Antiquities Society. So we already see meddling has gone on in 1948, 1949.
Please subscribe to Pastor Jimmy Evans' channel to receive the latest videos.
1967. We saw the presidents of America. We talked about this earlier, trying to create a two-state solution. And now it's come to a fever pitch where they want to make Jerusalem divide Jerusalem and give it a two-state solution and give East Jerusalem to the Palestinians as a capital. Now that's only going to get worse when this siege happens. The international community is going to be, it appears to be, they're going to side more and more with the attackers, the Arab countries that surround Israel. And God says, don't do that. It'll be a burdensome stone.
Now, Bill, how can people get more information about your ministry? Where do they go?
Well, thank you, Jimmy. It's been wonderful to do this show with you as usual. They can reach me at prophecydepot.com, Prophecy Depot like Home Depot. Got videos that I've done, some of yours we've got on there. We've also got a YouTube channel. If you search YouTube under Bill Salus, S-A-L-U-S, or Prophecy Depot, D-E-P-O-T. And subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We're growing there with all kinds of videos. I've got articles and things, my books, and we have a product online bookstore there. The Future War Prophecies, my latest book, is available there with the DVD, and that's prophecydepot.com.
Well, you've got some fantastic books and DVDs. I really encourage everybody to go on your site there, your YouTube channel. Bill, thank you. You're a dear friend, and thank you for being with me today, and we'll have you on again in the future. You're always a great comfort and encouragement in these times, kind of helping us to understand what's going on. God bless you.
God bless you, Jimmy.
Hey, listen, if you're watching this right now on YouTube and you're not a subscriber to endtimes.com, I want you to become a subscriber. Go there, endtimes.com, for $7 a month. You can become a subscriber. You get everything that we do here at endtimes.com. We have several podcasts every week. I answer questions. I give devotionals. I give perspective. In these severe times that we're living in, it's just good to have someone to encourage you and educate you on constantly changing events that are happening in the world right now. Go to endtimes.com. We have a 7-day free trial if you want to check us out. If not, just go ahead and sign up. $7 a month. It will bless you. It will bless us. We love it when people become subscribers because you give us the financial basis through which we can continue coming back to you and also expand this ministry. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you again next time.